On a day we never thought would come under the Flores and Lemuel Jean-Pierre regime, where Austin Jackson gets a 3-year extension worth $36 million, I again find myself in a position I never thought I'd be in, given Eichenberg's play over the last few years and how big of a Robert Hunt fan I am. But the question has to be asked, does Liam Eichenberg's play this year give the Dolphins leverage in their Robert Hunt negotiations and make him expendable if his asking price is just too much? Let's talk about it as we dive in too deep with myself and Neal Driscoll.
Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field down the near side, that open, touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for a touchdown again! Touchdown!
Beautiful day to be a Dolphins fan. Let's go!
You're listening to Fin Too Deep.
Tua back to throw. Blitz coming. They get to him. No, he takes off running. And he's in. Touchdown, Miami.
With the sixth pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Waddle.
Giving you unfiltered, informed, and controversial takes on the Miami Dolphins and the NFL Draft. Here's Reason and Neal.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. As I welcome you in for the second time today, I had the video earlier today going a little deep into Austin Jackson's extension, going over his PFF grades, why he earned that money, et cetera, et cetera. About a 15-minute video. I had a really good showing. I know YouTube shows I've only got about 2,700 views on it, but it's actually over 4,300 when you go into the analytics. So appreciate you guys for coming out to that one. But Neal, we're going to dive a little deeper into that Austin Jackson one. We're going to ask a question that I think we're the first podcast to ask it and make a topic about it. And we always get out. Listen, we set trends. We don't follow them. And we always get out ahead of the curve. And I think this is something we got to get out of ahead of the curve on tonight with Robert Hunt, Liam Eichenberg, all that. But Neal, the Dolphins, they're 9-3. Back-to-back winning seasons and 8-3 starts for the first time since, 2000, 2001, been over 20 plus years. And man, it's like I say, today was a beautiful day to wake up and be a Dolphin fan, especially, beautiful day to wake up and be a Dolphin if your name is Austin Jackson. But how sweet it is, Neal, 9-3 for the last 5 games at home. And that's not including the home playoff games that are on the horizon. How are you feeling now heading into Monday Night Football and the Tennessee Titans?
I mean, look, man, 9-3, the number 1 seed in the AFC with everything that we want right in front of us. I think the cool thing is that this team has been consistent. They've gone 3-1 in every quarter that they've played so far this season. And if they can do that again on the last quarter of this season, they'll likely end up with probably the number 1 seed in the entire AFC. So, the Monday Night Football on the horizon against a Tennessee team that's in a lot of trouble. They're in a lot of trouble coming up this week. It's amazing. And the Austin Jackson news today just screams what's right about the organization. It's not just players on the field. It's the coaching staff that develops these players, right? Yep. When you've seen players fail in the same organization and the only variable that's changed is the coaches. We've seen Tua skyrocket from a quarterback that people didn't know if he was a starter in this league to a top 5 quarterback in football and an
MVP candidate.
An MVP candidate. Austin Jackson, I'm over here. I got 6 crow patty sandwiches over here because I don't know if there was anyone harsher on Austin Jackson than myself. And I love eating these sandwiches these crow sandwiches, because I love to see the development. I love to see Austin Jackson as a 24-year-old player blossom in the prime of his career
Yep.
into one of the best blind side protectors in this league. He's a right tackle here, but he's a blind side protector, right?
Yep.
Watching, I know you did the all-22 tape. What he did against the Commanders defense, he should probably
Might have
be
been
in
his best
jail.
professional game. Might have been his best
He was
professional game.
second and third level blocks. His feet were so fast. He was moving defenders out of the running lanes. It was unbelievable to see. And suddenly, I was laughing earlier because suddenly that 2020 draft class that a lot of people crucify Chris Greer for sure looks pretty damn good at this point. Man, it's probably good time to be a Dolphins fan. It's probably the best time I've had in my 36 years of loving this team. So I think, aren't you pretty damn excited for the last quarter here?
Well, yeah. Did you also see that? Did you see the blurb today about how Mike McDaniel and Terron Armstead sat Austin Jackson down, and Terron Armstead told him, "I see your potential." See, remember, what did I say when we got Mike McDaniel in the staff? I told everyone, and I'm eating my crow sandwiches on Liam Eichenberg. I told everyone Liam Eichenberg's not salvageable, but my exact quote was Austin Jackson has poor man Trent Williams traits. They'll like that when you talk about the athleticism, the quick feet. And now you see the biggest improvement in Eichenberg and Austin Jackson this year has been their footwork and their hand placement and their violent hands. And just you can see now the hands and the feet are in unison. And Eichenberg's anchoring a little bit better. And then you got Austin Jackson. He woke up this year with a mean streak.
Right.
That mean streak, man. In that Commanders game, there was a little bit of a pile with a Dolphins player on there. You see him get in there and start pulling guys off. And game before that, he gets ejected.
Throw the haymaker.
Yeah, you're seeing the mean streak, and you got to be mean. You can be as nice and as soft-spoken as you want in that locker room and, in the huddle. That's great. But when you put your hands in the dirt in those trenches, you better be ready to be as nasty as possible, right? And it's come out for him. And, Coach AJ brought it up. And we'll get into a Tua blurb, or at least subtly hints at that today. Tua, right? Flores tried to crush his confidence. Jalen Phillips, man, I feel like I'm the only platform that always brings this point up. No one wants to bring this up, and I'm the only platform that always brings this up because I don't think people made a big enough deal about it. Jalen Phillips admitting he had to go see a sports psychiatrist because of what Flores and his staff did to his confidence. All right? Now hear what's coming out about Austin Jackson. Austin Jackson being called out in meetings. Austin Jackson just crushing his confidence instead of them trying to listen. We're on YouTube, right? We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. We can do that, right? We can critique players and we can get a little emotional, right? We are afforded that. But when you are coaching these young men and you have these young men in the palm of your hands to mold into NFL players, you can't be talking like how some of us in the community have been talking about these guys. You just can't. You just can't. You got to find a different way to get through these players. And Mike McDaniel's evidence of that. I mean, we are seeing, the Patriot way isn't as good as the Shanahan way. And we're seeing how much farther, just from a coaching standpoint, Neal, from a coaching and production standpoint, look how much farther it gets you being a genius, but also being relatable with your players and being approachable by your players. Look at how much farther it's getting.
Yeah, I think what we've seen is we're seeing that Mike McDaniel is the prototypical modern day NFL football coach, right?
Yeah.
He's young, he's aggressive, he has a loose atmosphere, and players have the platform to be their own personality, yet they are, they have to be dedicated. They have to focus on the task at hand. They have to deliver, but he's not in there telling everyone it's my way or the highway. He's telling everybody, we're going to do this together. I think Mike McDaniel, and this has really showed so far in the season of Hard Knocks for me, is what we see with the Miami Dolphins culture overall is we see the players in the roster, they're great. The coaching staff, it's great. The front office, it's great. Like, the Dolphins, we're Dolphins fans, so of course we're going to say this. But if you polled every fan base in this league and you say, who's your favorite team to watch besides your favorite team? I'm telling you, the Miami Dolphins are probably winning that. They are such a fun, just a fun atmosphere. McDaniel has completely transformed this organization. He's made Chris Greer a better GM. He's made Stephen Ross a better owner. He's made every player on this football team better. It's not often we're not seeing anyone really regress. We're only seeing improvements. That's where for me, I get really excited about what's happening is because I see sustained success. I think that this is something that can last. And, you're seeing the Dolphins operate in the same breath as the Eagles, the Niners, the Ravens, those world-class organizations. Since 2020, I think you can make the argument that Chris Greer has done the best work of any GM in football.
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, bro, didn't he also kind of if Austin Jackson would have made the Pro Bowl this year, wouldn't his franchise tag gone even higher?
It would have, and I think just his fifth-year option was $14.2 million. So like if you go and pay an elite left tackle today, right?
Yeah.
It's $25 million is the starting price.
Yeah, I think he would have got I've been saying, I've been saying, Neal, I think my worry is another team's going to back up the Brinks truck.
For sure.
You quote tweeted me today and said he could have probably gained another $4 or $5 million a year on the open market probably. And I agree with that. You look at, and I brought this up to Omar, who's only expecting to get about 8 million or so. And I said, no, there's no way that's happening.
No way.
Because me and the chat both said, I'm looking at the money Mike McGlinchey got. And look at Austin Jackson's age, et cetera, et cetera. Now, would Austin Jackson have struggled if he would have went somewhere else like Mike McGlinchey has struggled this year? Who knows? We won't know that answer until if he's not re-upped after the end of the 3-year contract. But if he keeps playing this way, he will be re-upped. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think Austin Jackson took less money to be here. I think they created a win-win. What's good for you? You're playing in Miami. You like it here. You're getting good here. You're in a system that meets your strengths. And the trade-off is the Dolphins go out and get Austin Jackson. What was the biggest story to me is it's Robert Hunt, Connor Williams, Isaiah Wynn, Austin Jackson. All 4 are unrestricted free agents. The first piece of business they did was take care of Austin Jackson. He's been the healthiest player. He's been the best player on this offensive line. He's been a top 5 player on this football team this year. Overall, he's been a top 5 player on this team almost overall this year. I think it's a great one. And what I think we need to see here is take care of a couple more of those contracts. It's going to be interesting to see. We're going to have a ton of time to talk about, Andrew Van Ginkel, Christian Wilkins, Robert Hunt, Connor Williams. But when you take care of it and you get ahead of it and you're committed to getting a deal done, it benefits the team and the salary cap a lot.
Well, what's been my biggest gripe about Chris Greer, Neal?
Yep, he's a little late to get the deals done.
I defend him tooth and nail, except on that. Do I not, Neal? That's my only gripe with him. And holy schmoly, he learned. I think the Christian Wilkins thing opened him up. I think he said, God dang it, we could have had this guy for 14 or 15 million. Now we're talking about mid-20s because I waited it out. I think the Wilkins was an eye-opener to him of I got to get out ahead of this stuff.
That and look, and Tua, it was an interesting situation coming off the concussions.
Yeah.
But Tua's going to cost about $10 more million a year probably than we could have probably got him for a year ago.
Yeah.
And again, we're paying it. We're going to pay it.
We are.
But it's interesting to see the hometown discount that you can get when you take care of your own business and you don't let the market dictate the cost.
Yeah.
You and the player find synergy of where you need to be. And you know what? I think agents like when teams handle that type of business, because think of you're an NFL agent, how busy you are in March, right? So many players, so many deals to work. If you have teams that will help you get your players taken care of in the course of the season, it makes your job as an agent better. Your players happy, the team's happy, and the agent's happy. That's just a good recipe for long-term success. And I think, I do think you're right. There's times where it's like, come on, Chris, you could have got this deal done. Andrew Van Ginkel is a guy that I think they should have probably tried to get for more than a 1-year deal headed into the season. With that said, I'm not going to criticize a guy who's brought me Tyreek Hill, Jalen Ramsey via trades. And now that we look back at it, the 2020 and 2021 drafts, he straight up murdered them.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into let's go over the main topic here on this show, right? So, has Liam Eichenberg's play hurt Robert Hunt's extension with the Miami Dolphins? Okay, and what I mean from that is from a leverage standpoint. We talked about consistency and being the best on the field this year has gotten Austin Jackson paid. Well, if we look at since the 2020 draft, Robert Hunt, you can say, has been the best and most consistent over that span of time to where we are right now. All right.
Right.
And you got to understand, if he's looking at Austin Jackson getting 3 years, 36 million, 12 a year with a ceiling of 39, so 12 to 13 million a year. What do you think Robert Hunt's thinking to himself right now with how he's played for every year since he's been here? Cha-ching, cha-ching. Liam Eichenberg. Now, Liam Eichenberg's play. Let's just put some things into perspective this year. So Liam Eichenberg is a 51.6 offensive grade, a 53.4 run blocking grade. He has a 47 pass blocking grade, which is actually his best of his career. He's allowed 9 pressures, okay, on 289 pass block snaps. Now, Robert Hunt, he's allowed 5 pressures on 297 pass blocking snaps. So really, he's only played 8 more than Eichenberg, but it's almost cut in half in terms of the pressures. And right now, he has a 77.6 offensive grade, a 75.8 run blocking grade, and a 72.9 pass blocking grade, which is down because last year he was actually a 74.6. But overall, his offensive grade, his run blocking grade are the best Robert Hunt's had up into this point of his career. My thing here is the money he's going to demand. But when I talk about leverage, if he's going to price himself at a point like that, this team's not going to play ball. They're going to turn and say, we got Liam Eichenberg. We can make, because here's the thing. With Lemuel Jean-Pierre and Brian Flores, these guys were plucking guys out of Lowe's, out of Home Depot, and on a Tuesday and starting them on a Sunday and saying, oh, we think we can make it work. And they couldn't make it work. This regime, this staff, they can make those type of guys work. And I think there's that internal belief that we can look at what the play they got out of Lester Cotton. Hell, Robert Jones is going to be healthy next year, right? You got Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg, who we've seen man this interior that we would all feel comfortable with down the playoff stretch with Connor Williams. Because here's what I've been told, Neal. I've been told 110% unequivocally Connor Williams and Christian Wilkins are bigger priorities than Robert Hunt's deal right now. So if I take that into consideration and I say, okay, at worst, that's a $20.5 million franchise tag for Wilkins, right? And then you got to think Connor's going to be in that 12 to 14 million upper tier center price range. So we're talking about 35 million-ish between just those two people. What's the smarter move financially and fiscally? Saving that 12 to 13 million you're going to have to throw to Robert Hunt to be a premier guard, and then plugging with guys you have and then drafting and bringing in. Like, again, they could bring Isaiah Wynn back on the cheap next year. Eichenberg's telling everyone, I feel more comfortable at right guard. They bring back Isaiah Wynn on the cheap because he got hurt, and they bring up Robert Jones is there to be the insurance plan. Instead, all of a sudden, your interior is Wynn, Connor with an extension, and Eichenberg. And I mean, listen, everyone knows I'm a massive Robert Hunt fan. When we drafted that man, go look at what I said in the post-draft show on here with EM Dolphin Fan. Go look at TD Finn's talk when we drafted him live. I said he was going to be an all-pro guard in the NFL. Me and EM talked about him the night before we drafted him. We did a mock draft and we big upped Robert Hunt and how good of a fit he'd be. No one's a bigger supporter of Robert Hunt, but I can take my subjective fanness out of it and look at it objectively from a financial standpoint. And when we see, you bring up Andrew Van Ginkel, what if they think about this? Because this now factors into the Robert Hunt money. With Jalen Phillips' injuries, what if they want to pay Andrew Van Ginkel before they pay Jalen Phillips just as an insurance in case Jalen Phillips continues to get hurt or he doesn't look proper coming back from the Achilles? And he's willing to take a hometown discount where he could get 13, 14, 15 million on the market, but he's fine with 9 to 11 here in Miami. right? That's something, and Fangio's going to bat for Andrew Van Ginkel to get an extension. That's going to happen. So this is where I'm getting into this with this. Listen, I think there should be no higher priority than protecting Tua Tagovailoa. But I'm looking at this from a financial standpoint and the play they've got from Lester Cotton, Liam Eichenberg, and Robert Jones in that interior when they've tasked them with it this year. And I think they could probably get by and afford to let, Robert Hunt walk. I don't agree with it, but I could see that being part of the plan. What do you think? And that, I know I just went on a rant, but what do you think about all that? You're muted, brother.
I was drinking and I didn't want the water, my metal to be clinging. But no, I think you brought up a lot of really good points. And I think there's two sides of the story and neither side are wrong. They both make a lot of sense. Like I personally love Robert Hunt at right guard. But there's no mistaking. It is Connor Williams or Robert Hunt. It's not going to be both. If they get both, that means Wilkins is gone.
I agree.
Here's how you have to look at it. I saw Scotty just put in our comments, the Dolphins should get a real center. Connor Williams is the best center in football right now. Maybe he does have some of these snap issues and he's not a traditional center, but he's rated the best center in
the snapping issues have been clean since he came back.
And we have 2 years of tape on it too, where we've seen this isn't just kind of a flash in the pan. This guy's established himself as one of the league's best center. If the Dolphins are more interested in Connor Williams than Robert Hunt, to me, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Connor Williams is healthy out there playing at the top of his position, and Robert Hunt got re-injured. I mean, it's just one of those things. I think
and they look like geniuses. They shifted him from left guard to center. That's a project that they hit a home run on. They're not going to sell off on that.
Well, and then it aligns perfect with my first round draft strategy because I think that you have your bookends with Armstead, who I think is definitely going to be coming back.
Yeah, they're going to restructure him.
Yeah, they're going to restructure him. He's going to be back.
He's going to be back.
I think you're going to see Austin Jackson as the right tackle. I think Keon Smith is going to take over for Kendall Lamb, probably in that swing tackle role, unless they can work out something with Kendall. I think Robert Jones is going to be the interior depth piece. Your center is going to be Connor Williams. Your right guard is going to be Liam Eichenberg. And then the guy that I want to draft in the first round is Troy Fontenot from Washington because I love him as a left guard with the ability to kick outside and play left tackle. If Armstead goes down, he's a mean son of a bitch that matches the philosophy that we're trying to build here. I think that it's very likely that Robert Hunt could be. If it was my priority, I think I'd want to sign a Robert Hunt because I love that he's been here. And I think keeping continuity with him and Austin Jackson.
Lock him and Connor Williams up. They'd be my top priority, but I know they have Wilkins as a higher priority right now.
And that plays into this too, right? Because I personally would say if I'm the GM, I love Christian Wilkins and what he's doing. He's actually backing up what my criticism were. He's getting the sack production. He's playing borderline, very great to elite football. I just think that this is a great defensive tackle class and that Vic Fangio can go get a guy in second round like Devondre Sweat from Texas, plug and play him at the nose and find more players that are way less expensive an option because I think keeping that brick wall in front of Tua's the most important player on this football team, even over Tyreek.
And he's about to be the biggest investment this franchise has ever made in a player too, so you better protect him.
So I think having that, and then here's the beauty about the offensive line. Not only are they excelling and not getting to a hit and doing well in the pass blocking, they have become absolutely menaces in the running game where they are moving the line of scrimmage. They are, Mostert and Achane are getting a lot of the accolades and a lot of the production, but that line is doing a tremendous job at balling people out of the way. I think that you are onto something. I personally would go Robert Hunt. I think the Dolphins are going to go Connor Williams. That's how I think it shakes out. And I think the Williams extension could get done before the end of the season. I think it could be the next ball to drop. And it's going to be interesting because I will say it's hard to envision this team.
You get one franchise tag and one transition tag. You get one franchise tag and one transition tag. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I think it's hard to envision this team not keeping Christian Wilkins here on some capacity, whether it is a franchise tag, whether it's an extension. I mean, he's just, he is the lifeblood of that defense. I don't think he's not replaceable, but I think it's hard to replace the leadership and the intangibles he brings and the play on the field. It's going to be, It's going to be Chris Greer has a
Connor
job.
Williams and Robert Hunt would be my top priority over anyone because I'd want to bring this offensive line back.
Yeah,
that would be my. We're 15th. If you took our I went over the numbers yesterday. If you took PFF grades, Sports Info Solution score, and if you took your ESPN pass block win rate, we're the third pass pro team offensive. We're the third best offensive line and pass pro. If you take all those same outlet scores in like run blocking and then for ESPN run block win rate, we're number 15. We jumped from 24 to 15 in 1 week against the Commanders.
So we're pretty much, you would agree, a solidified top 10 offensive line.
Yeah.
So when we did this,
if you average it out, right, 3 and 15, what would we be, like 9? I think it would be somewhere around 9.
When we did these shows in the beginning of the season, and you and I have been.
What did we say? Just get around top 20. Right. Just become top 20.
Middle of the pack.
Good.
Middle of the pack, and this team could go to the Super Bowl. We said, right?
And look at it. Were we lying?
You know, and look, I know that there was other outlets that were excited about the Dolphins. You know, I picked them to be in the Super Bowl. You picked them 14-3 or 13-4.
Yeah.
You know, we have high expectations, and this offensive line makes this offense the most dangerous offense in football. That's where I'm thinking. I will say this: I don't think there's any way. I call these guys the four horsemen.
Look what Scott said, by the way.
What did he say? Connor got.
McDaniel got Connor first thing for a reason. That was his first big offensive line pick.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry, go. Yeah.
No, I agree. I call these guys the four horsemen. These are the four key free agents the Dolphins are going to have. And there's other good ones. Van Ginkel, Wilkins, Connor, and Robert Hunt. The Dolphins, after the Austin Jackson move, can probably keep 2 of them because they need to keep 10, 11 million to sign their draft class. And they are going to make maintenance moves. Like, you know, they'll probably try to bring back Deshaun Elliott on a lower contract deal. They'll probably try to find, you know, good role players to put on the team. But I think you keep 2 of those 4 players. And if you ask me honestly, if I had to rank from 1 to 4, who I think the best 4 players are, I think it's Wilkins and Connor Williams that would get the nod.
Yeah, and that's where they're going. That's why they're making them the priority, right? Like we're making the offensive line and 2 of the priority a little bit more. With Hunt over Wilkins, they're going basically BPA, right? Best player available. You know what I mean? So,
right.
I mean, you can't knock them for it.
Well, look, and like they signed Zach Sealer right after those Wilkins conversations broke down.
Died out. Yeah.
And I love Zach Sealer. I say this meeting. If they didn't make that move, they could probably keep 3 of these guys, and Wilkins and their linemen. You know, it's not unfortunate. I'd love to have Zach Sealer on our team. Making that signing when they did negated, you know what I mean? It negated the ability to create this. Now, I'm salary cap ready already, and I've done a lot of the digging, and the Dolphins have a lot of flexibility. Getting a deal with Tua done will open up about $15 to $18 million in cap space based off of the average first-year hits that new quarterback contracts have been getting.
Mm-hmm.
You could do a restructure with Ramsey. You could restructure Armstead. X isn't going anywhere anymore. X is playing great football, but there is a lot of things the Dolphins could do. It's going to be interesting to see. They'll lose some players though, but like for me, that's why it's good to start having some draft picks back, right? Like I don't know about you, but I missed the Dolphins on draft day for the last 2 years.
Sure.
That's how you're going to supplement. Yeah, you're going to supplement this roster with first, second round picks and build some depth in the later rounds.
That's the one I've been quietly like hinting to my viewer base that things might go differently than we expected in the offseason with X. I think they're going to try and restructure him and make that work. And I think they're going to try and keep him for at least 1 more year.
Yeah, me
I
too.
really do.
I'm exactly with you.
They're going to restructure as many bodies as possible. That's exactly what's going to happen. What's going to happen.
Well, here's my question to you, because I don't care about this. My answer is I don't care. If they push all this money downhill and they get to 3 to 5 more years of this window,
I don't give a shit. Lock yourself out.
Do you give a shit? Like if you have 3 to 5 years of this,
if we win a Super Bowl this year or get to an AFC championship, and they either push the money down the line to win another one, or they push the money down the line because they realize they're so close with this core. If anyone complains, I will personally drive to your house and ring the doorbell, and when you open it, you will get a talcum powdered pimp slap right across your face, okay? Because, listen, if it's taking that final step or if it's continuing to build a dynasty with multiple championships. We've been waiting for this. I was born in 1985, Neal. I've been waiting for this since my daddy took a picture of me while he was in his Merino jersey, and I was like 8 months old. I've been waiting for this. Okay,
Amen.
So no, you do what you got. Winning is the ultimate objective, man. And I'm here for a dynasty. We had to sit through that Patriots dynasty for 20 years. We had to deal with the armpit of the world, easily North America, maybe the world, Buffalo, thinking they were on a high horse, right? And the Jets are down bad right where we got them. Right. Build the dynasty and put your foot on the throat of the AFC. That's where I'm at.
And honestly, the only player I wouldn't restructure, there's one player, and that's Tyreek Hill, and this is why. He's already got a $50 million cap hit coming. I don't want to make his cap hit so unbearable that they'd have to get rid of him quicker. Keep paying Tyreek because he has a huge lift of $50 million, and then it drops down drastically. But everyone else, Ramsey, Chubb, Armstead, X, restructure. These type of windows are special. You take full advantage of it when you can. Look, eventually we'll have to pay the piper, and then we'll have to go for a rebuild or something like that. But keep this window open for 5 years. Give me a Lombardi. Hell, give me a couple Lombardis. It's all worth it. The teardown doesn't matter if you accomplish what you're looking to accomplish.
I agree with that. And I wanted to play this. Look what Tua subtly said today. And we'll go over. We know who he's talking about.
Yep, really remarkable. To sit in those meetings, have things told about you that aren't true, but they get planted in your head, and you have the media on you as well, and then you have someone like Mike and his coaching staff come in and basically just build you back up. And it's not just Austin; it's really everyone that's been here, for some time.
Wow.
And kind of give you that renewed confidence in yourself to just go out there and be yourself and play the way you've played. That's why, the organization chose you. You see the fruits of his labor.
Dude, this talk of Flores getting a job is complete and utter. Who's giving this guy a background and a reference check? Because I don't know many players that would. Hell, even the ones he brought over from the Patriots, like Van Noy, hate him. And he man, it honestly, I feel so much better for Austin Jackson, but I feel so bad for JP and him talking about having to see a sports therapist. Tua was talking about himself a little bit there. Man, it's such a great story, but at the same time, it's so sad that these players had to go through what they went through internally. Man, literally, my heart breaks for these. Because listen, I get they're young men, but they're young kids asked to be young men in their early 20s, especially Austin Jackson. He came in. How old was he when he came into this league, man? The guy was like 21.
20. Yeah, he was 20.
20, right?
He was 20 years old. Yeah.
Oh man. So
well, I think it's amazing the mental fortitude of players like Tua Tagovailoa and Austin Jackson, because a lot of players that their careers start off in the fashion that those players' careers started, they don't make it to the second contract. And not only did both these players make the second contract, they made it to the upper echelon of their position. Brian Flores was a stain on the organization. It comes out more and more in every story that we have seen. And the fact that he is behind us, it makes this franchise a better franchise. And I love the fact that Tua Tagovailoa is comfortable enough to come out and say what he said today. Because if you look at the NFL, whenever I see an advertisement for the NFL, Tua Tagovailoa was on it. Brian Flores is a defensive coordinator for a Vikings team that's going to be watching the playoffs on their couch. So the trajectory of their careers, how they've gone in the post-Brian Flores era, you see Tua rising, and you see Flores meddling in where he was before he was a Dolphin. So I think it's great to see that, good things still happen to good people and bad things still can happen to bad people, man. And I think that is good to see. And, I think it screams to what we started the show about, this culture, what Mike McDaniel is a top 10 X&O coach in football already. But what he's done in Miami beyond the coaching is as elite work as you will see at that position ever. I mean, like, we had Don Shula. We know what great coaches are. What Mike McDaniel has done in a short period of time is as impressive as anything I've ever seen as a Dolphins fan. And that's where this culture, this team, man, we're a wagon. We're going to be rolling people over. Like, we beat teams, we destroy teams, we steal their will. You know what even made me even happy the other game against the Commanders? It was that 4th down and A-Chain got a second touchdown. I love the fact that we insert our will against other teams. Like, I love that we're not this passive, soft football team that we have been for years. I love that Austin Jackson's throwing haymakers and fighting. I love that Teron Armstead is playing through every injury known to man. I love that it looked like Jerome Baker almost was out for the season, and the dude's on Twitter 3 hours later saying he's coming back. I love that Jalen Ramsey came back as soon as he did and had that much of an impact. Like, we are seeing this team, they have something special, man. There's something in the DNA of the Miami Dolphins right now, and that's what's so exciting to me. It's like, we all know how good this team can be, and everybody that was outside these walls told us we were idiots, that we were homers, that we didn't know shit about football, blah, 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 blah. And, how long have we been saying this, Reason? This team's been playing closer to their floor than the ceiling. Well, what we saw against the Commanders was a complete game of complete domination, and this team's going to start getting closer to that ceiling, and they're going to be playing at that ceiling when they have Dallas, Baltimore, and Buffalo. That narrative that this team can't beat good teams is going to get crushed, like every other narrative that this franchise is crushed this year, and that's what's going to make this season so much fun. And then we have playoff football, likely in Miami, which is going to be, I mean, man, it is going to be insane.
Nuts. Speaking of bad coaches, if any of y'all didn't see this is real. This is an excerpt from Tyler Dunn, a piece he had on Go Long TD. And remember, I've had Tyler Dunn on the show here. Great guy. Always willing to give advice to me. I talk to him, on a personal level. He's a great guy. And this is about Sean McDermott, the Bills head coach. And this is what it says. At St. John Fisher College, Pittsford, New York, McDermott's morning address began innocently enough. Told the entire team they needed to come together. But then sources on hand say he used a strange model. The terrorists on September 11th, 2001. He cited the hijackers as a group of people who were all able to get on the same page to orchestrate attacks to perfection, one by one. McDermott started asking specific players in the room questions. What tactics do you think they used to come together? A young player tried to methodically answer. What do you think their biggest obstacle was? A veteran answered, the TSA, which mercifully lightened the mood. I mean, are we getting to that point in Buffalo where desperation is reeking through now even the pregame speeches and the morning speeches? I mean, listen, dude, that is one of the most inappropriate comparisons I've ever heard. And you did it in New York? Oh, Lord, in the state of New York. And yes, it is real. For people wondering if that's real or not, that is real. And from what I understand, that's like 7 different players sourced that. Not just one, not just 2, like 7 different people there sourced that story to Tyler Dunn.
If I own the Buffalo Bills, I fire Sean McDermott tomorrow. I really... I cannot believe that that's a real quote from a professional in the public eye. I mean, it's been a weird week.
Schefter even tweeted it out, bro. I don't know if you saw that.
Here this week, we've had the Harvard and the Ivy League universities like trying to talk about the Holocaust. I don't know what's going on here, man. But like, there's things that you don't touch, and the Holocaust and 9/11 are probably 2 of them. There's nothing really great about a large amount of people dying, and there's not a lot of good parallels you can make to be, I can't believe, because I'll say this, I've always been impressed with Sean McDermott, even though he's been the Buffalo Bills coach, a man of discipline. He's really had good leadership in times with like the Damar Hamlin thing. But man, like, that is one of the most horrific quotes I've ever read in my entire life. Wow. There's not much else I can say, but wow, like, I cannot believe that's
Sean
real.
McDermott every night before a game, bro.
That is awful. Wow.
Holy jeez, this guy.
That's insane, man. And in New York to say that of all places, good Lord, man. I mean, jeez.
He's getting fired. He knows he's on the out. He messed up with Leslie Frazier. Stephon Diggs isn't happy. It's over. It's
That
literally over. And he knows we're gonna win the division and we're gonna like run away with the division. I think he knows the writing's on the wall that it's pretty much over for him and in Buffalo. And you know it's gonna be even funny when Ken Dorsey goes back to KC and KC's passing attack gets back on track, and who ends up looking like the idiot.
right, for sure, man. God, Sean McDermott, he's definitely the idiot of the week. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, he's vying for Jabroni. I don't know. Steven Ruiz and that guy from PFF are vying for Jabroni of the week. Now this guy's coming up for it. Holy jeez, everyone wants a shot at it, eh?
Yeah, and there's been people in Twitter Spaces making a name for themselves. There's a lot of jabronis this week, man. I mean, oh man.
You had to, if you know, right? Okay. I wanted to show you this because you got Stephen A. Smith. Oh, and you had the Micah Parsons comments. Oh, I can throw to Tyreek. I can throw to Tyreek. And you got Stephen A. Smith. Well, you saw a screen and they do the rest and blah 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 blah. Check this out. I present to you yet another narrative killer, courtesy of Next Gen Stats, who got stuff inside the football. Tyreek Hill has gained over 100 more yards on post routes and go routes than any other receiver has totaled on an individual route this season. Hill's 938 yards on vertical routes this season are the most of any receiver in a season since 2018, and the season ain't done. I mean, look at DJ Moore. DJ Moore got 251 yards on a hitch. This guy's got almost 200 yards more than that just on post routes alone. Look, he's got over 100 yards more on go routes than CD has. I mean, is this just another example of that? Tua just throws and the receivers do the rest. That's just another example of how false that narrative is, how ignorant that narrative is, and how downright of a lie that narrative is, Neal. And I mean, this is, again, was he putting up that kind of yardage on go routes and vertical routes, whether it's go route or a post route or whatever, or a corner route, whatever? Was he putting up that much vertical yards with the big armed Patrick Mahomes?
No, I think Emmanuel Acho nailed this the best. Tua's great with Tyreek, and Tyreek's great with Tua. They're great together, right? Like, like there doesn't have to be somebody that needs somebody. Like, I'll say this: it sure looks like Patrick Mahomes misses Tyreek Hill in Kansas City right now. Like, right? It looks pretty bad there. So, like for me, I mean, like the Steve Ruiz stuff you saw. Like, honestly, like. I have to block that kind of stuff on my timeline because even talking about it is a waste of time because it's just it doesn't.
You feel dumber. You feel dumber.
It feels dumber trying to encourage someone to be realistic about something. Like, look, Tua, he made to play one of his cleanest games he's ever played as a pro against the Commanders. He looked as clean. He's challenging the secondary. Tyreek is Tyreek. I mean, like, dude, I love it kind of, man, because I think in a few months, if this Dolphin team achieves what it will, we'll all have all the fun in the world just laughing at all this nonsense and naysayers along the way. Like, I've seen quarterback lists when people don't have Tua in their top 10. And when you do that, it's intentional, right? And I don't know if it's for clicks, but like there's people that are very good NFL draft content writers that I have respected and covering the NFL draft that I've blocked and muted this week because I'm just like, dude, you got some kind of agenda. Like, as dumb as it was that Derek Carr said Marcus Mariota could start over Jalen Hurts, there's been credentialed NFL draft writers who do this for a living that have been even worse. And that's where, to me, it's just, I love it because I think those type of things might have rattled the old Tua Tagovailoa under Brian Flores. I think this Tua and the team around him use that as fuel, man. And I love it because there's a lot of receipts that are going to be given out. Look, hey, I'm eating them today on Austin Jackson. This Dolphins team is going to be giving out a lot of receipts, man. And I think it's going to be fun to see all those people on ESPN that want to talk their trash pucker up Colin Cowherd's already starting to do it. He's already starting to turn the corner and talk about how the Dolphins being good is good for football. It's coming, man. And like shutting people up, it's probably one of the most rewarding things a professional athlete can do besides get that check. And Tua's locked in, man. This team's locked in. I see that on Hard Knocks. They're locked in. They're ready, man. This team is ready to make that run. That is my biggest takeaway. Someone asked me that earlier today. My biggest takeaway from Hard Knocks is it confirms the fact this Dolphins team's ready to make this big run now.
Should I put out my worry to the public so they know it, but in case it does happen down the line?
You can. It's funny because your worry is, and if I've buried anyone else worse than Austin Jackson, this is the only guy that I've ever really. I can't stand this son of a bitch.
So I've only told EM and Neal this. Okay, my biggest worry is not our defense. My biggest worry is not our offense in the playoffs. People offensive line. I'm not worried about that. My biggest worry is that Sanders is going to Stoyanovich us against the Chargers. That's what my biggest worry is, that we're going to come down to Sanders with a 50-plus yard field goal at some point in this playoffs, and he's going to blow it. And when we talk about this team beating themselves, that's my biggest worry of us beating ourselves is special teams lets us down, because quite frankly, Danny Crossman shouldn't probably have a job anymore. And Jason Sanders, that looks like one of the worst extensions we've had over the last couple of years. So that's my really only worry heading into the playoffs is Jason Sanders.
Well, I'll say one thing. I'll give Mike McDaniel credit on another thing. The 54-yarder in the elements at that game this Sunday, I thought we should have went for it there. I think it was 4th and 4 or something like that. Letting Sanders kick that ball, I didn't think he was going to make it. I'll be honest. I didn't think he was going to make it.
Yeah, you heard the warm-ups. He was missing them big time in warm-ups, eh?
Right. And I don't know what's happened, because he did have that all-pro year. I don't know. The sample size tells me he's not a very good kicker. But he did hit it.
Jake Bailey.
So, yeah. Oh, God. Don't even get me started there. But I will say I share that concern too, because I do think this. As much as I love this Dolphins team, they're not going to go win every game in the playoffs and then Super Bowl by 20 points.
Yeah.
There's going to be dogfights. There's going to be battles. There's going to be times where every point matters. And I even think sometimes if Mike Daniel doesn't have the confidence to let Sanders kick, it's almost as bad as a missed kick, right? If it's 4th and 6, and instead of kicking a 53-yard field goal, you go for it and you turn the ball over, and the other team gets better field position than they would have if you punted or kicked it off. I just think that's something that concerns me, is that it's not just even the missed kicks. Is there a confidence in him within a certain range? And then, this week they let him kick a 54-yarder. I will say this. I will not let Sanders even attempt to kick above 55 yards anymore. I think it's just it's a losing battle. Then I laugh because Andrew Franks kicked one like 59, 60 yards to get us in the playoffs in 2016, right, against the Bills. So, it's one of those things. It's like I don't know. But Jason Sanders is my number one biggest worry on this football team right now, for sure. No doubt.
Yeah, I agree. All right, man. So Monday Night Football, we got the 4-8 Tennessee Titans, nothing to lose. Will Levis looking like, year 2 or year 3, he's going to be that guy in Tennessee for sure. Derrick Henry didn't go into concussion protocol, so it's not going to be a Tyjae Spears. It might be a Tyjae Spears fest, but it probably won't be. Derrick Henry's going to be out there. Obviously, they love to throw the football deep when you look at what they do, right? So, I believe 22% of their throws are plus 20-yard throws. So they love to push the ball deep. Will Levis has the arm. They have DeAndre. They got D-Hop. They got Nuke who can go up there and get it. What's your thoughts on this Tennessee game, Monday Night Football? Man, 4 of the next 5 games are at home, and we're starting it off on Monday night. What are your thoughts heading into this game? What's your prediction? How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, there was a band in the 1990s that I used to listen to called Silverchair, and one of their songs was called Pure Massacre, right? The Dolphins are the best home team in football. a rookie quarterback on Monday Night Football in Miami under the bright lights. This energy of the stadium is going to be amazing. No Jeffrey Simmons. Tennessee has a piss poor offensive line. I think the Dolphins are absolutely going to beat the living crap out of the Tennessee Titans. And
You
like
think we see Mike White in the
I
fourth?
think we will see Mike White. I look. I love Derrick Henry. He's one of the players I respect the most in this league. He does not look. I know he's second in the league in rushing, and I know what he can do. He does not look like the same dominant player he once did. I think he's got production because of the amount of carries he's getting because they have a rookie quarterback they're trying to protect a little bit. I think our defense plays really well against the run. Henry will probably have a couple nice runs against us like he does against anyone else, but you're not going to beat the Dolphins by, running the football between the tackles on them. You're going to have your rookie quarterback have to make throws. They don't have the type of speed receivers that usually give us a lot of fits. Like, honestly, X can match up pretty well with DeAndre Hopkins, to be honest.
Yeah.
And and then their secondary, man, they traded Kevin Byard, who was their best safety. That secondary is pathetic. It's awful. I do say that I don't think I think Javon Holland's going to sit for Miami one more week. And I think it might be the right move to do. If I had to throw a score on this, I would say it's going to be like 40-16. Dolphins beat the Titans.
Bro, you look at the behind Hopkins, like Okonkwo, Westbrook, Akeen, like they got no receiving options behind DeAndre Hopkins. Like it is hurting. And it's hurting over there. And they got a few decent defensive pieces, Aziz Al-Shahir, Harold Landry's decent. Obviously Christian Fulton, they're not going to have Jeffrey Simmons. I think Danico Autry has quietly had a pretty
he's a good player. Autry's a good player, under the radar guy. Yeah.
They have a couple, but it's just you look at them and they're so outmatched on both sides of the football by us. And that's another reason why I think Tua is going to get 4,500 yards. The reason why I don't think he's sniffing 5,000 is because I don't think he's going to be playing a lot of fourth quarters.
Right. That, and they're going to be up by so much that they're going to start running the clock out.
Well, yeah. Neal, I think prepare. I think we are about to become a run heavy team. And the plan is to get these teams honest to the box heading into the playoffs, so we can start opening up a little bit more in the passing game. I think we're going to go a little bit more run heavy on this back half of the season. And I think it was by design. I think that's why Tua was thrown over 400 times up until this point. It was to save these guys, the Mostert's body, right? Well, Achane, it worked out that way, but Achane as well. You know what I mean? Jeff Wilson Jr., they were saving these guys' bodies because they didn't want them broken down on the back half. And now it's going to ramp up even, which is crazy to say because look at what Mostert's done to this point in terms of touchdowns, over 16 touchdowns and such.
Well, and that's how you win in the playoffs is by running the football.
Exactly.
You run the football, and that's how you're going to beat the Baltimore Ravens is by running the football on them. And I think that is a huge part of this team is that we've seen them. What they have shown the NFL this year, the Dolphins have shown a lot. They've shown that they have the most lethal passing game in the NFL. They have, and honestly, they've done that where Jalen Waddle hasn't really been the player he was the last 2 years. I still think he's going to get hot for this team down the stretch, and I think we're starting to see more of that explosive and making people miss. Look, Tyreek Hill's a one-of-one. We've said this all year. He's the most dominant receiver that I have ever seen since Randy Moss, and that includes a Calvin Johnson. I think Tyreek is just elite. He might be one of the best players to ever wear the Dolphins uniform. Whenever we go to any of these matchups, I say, who's covering Tyreek? And people tell me a player. Like someone told me earlier this week, Christian Fulton, and he's a good player. He ain't covering Tyreek Hill. It ain't going to happen. We've seen the run offense either be one or two all season. There's been consistency. The line's been consistent. And then the defense has shown that they are a top 5 unit, and they're just getting better and better. 40-16, I said. I think we win, but like I gotta stop picking the 50 burgers because to your point, they're gonna slow down. They're gonna take their foot off the gas, and as they get later in the season with these leads, like they got a lot more to play for. Like honestly, like it's hard to pick. I think the Dolphins are so good that it actually is going to hurt Tyreek Hill and Tua's statistics. Like Tyreek might not get 2,000 this year because we might be up literally 28-0 at half on Tennessee. And then, you know what I mean? I know I hate to sound so cocky with it, but I just don't see, like, I care more about the team's health than I do the stats. I do. And, I also think there's a lot to evaluate with Mike White in the back half of the season where, if we do have the number one seed, the division, whatever we have wrapped up when we do, I would like to see Mike White play some meaningful snaps for this reason. Like, I want to see what he is. I don't think we have a good barometer of what he is as a backup here yet. I know he had the nice throw to Chosen. He had that one interception. I think Mike White's a good player. He kind of has that Matt Moore underdog feel to him. But I'd like to see him play a little bit down the stretch. First to keep Tua healthy and keep him kind of, fresh. But I also don't want to see enough of him that this team goes in the playoffs rusty. So it's a fine balance. I trust Mike McDaniels. The Dolphins have been great at their player usage this year, at holding people out. Like, I think about it as a fan. So when they hold out Javon Holland, I'm like, damn, like Javon's not going to get a pick this week. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but like the only guy who's really been able to insert what he wants to do is Jalen Ramsey, and hey, he's backed it up. Like, people don't even want to throw his way. Terry McLaurin, I have to say,
I can't believe they erased him.
Zero catches. And you asked me 10 players that I respect in football as a football player, and Terry McLaurin's going to be on that top 10 list. Their ability to erase them last week, that was my biggest takeaway from the whole football game, is how the hell when I looked at my fantasy scores and I saw big fat zeros on 3 of my teams for Terry McLaurin, because I was like, I thought he would still get like 5-6 catches, 60 yards. I didn't expect him to get the zero. So, I mean, yeah, man, 40-16 blowout win. It's going to be a fun night in Miami, and 10-3, and we'll maintain the number one seed. I am interested to see what happens in the rest of the league this week. Ravens, they kind of got to lay up at home against the Rams. I'm hoping for maybe a little upset miracle. Bills, Chiefs, lesser of two evils. I don't care. Let one of them beat each other. Jacksonville without Trevor, or I think
he's back. Trevor's back at practice.
Yeah, I think he's going to play. I personally think it's a risky move, but their division rival Texans play the Jets and probably are going to win by 30 points. So,
Jay Stroud this year, right? Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. One of my favorite players to watch. But yeah, man.
I had McLaurin too in one of my leagues that actually ended up winning the game. I actually ended up putting up 199 points with McLaurin 0 because I got 49.
Wow.
I got 49 from Debo.
Yeah, Debo was awesome last week. Yeah.
Yeah, my defense. I don't know how I put up that many points, but like because Mahomes had like a weak game for me, but I had like almost 16 from Charbonnet. Ingram finally had a game at tight end, about damn time. You know what I mean? Kyron Williams, he's my stud on that team, and he had almost 20 points. So I made up. I thought I was done with McLaurin putting up a donut. I was like, God, man.
Nah, but they all stepped up for you. Well, I'll say this. I know our listeners like money. So I think the safest bet you can make on a week-to-week basis is anytime touchdowns for Tyreek Hill.
No, bro, if someone parlayed 150 plus yards and 2 touchdowns on under 6.5 catches last week, do you know how much money you would have made just off $10?
Oh,
you would have made a couple grand off just $10 last week.
Dude, two weeks ago, I hit two nice parlays. It was one of my better weekends. I was going nuts, man. Parlays are fun because they're the most stressful bet to have.
Well, that's what I hit the Tyreek. Remember, I hit the Tyreek parlay a couple weeks ago. It was what it was either 125 or 150 plus yards on under 6 catches and a touchdown. And remember, they benched him after the 5th catch. I was like, yeah, baby, let's go.
Right.
Yeah, I won like $1,200 or $1,400 or something.
That's fucking awesome, man. That's awesome.
And it was like $10. I just put $10 and I won like $1,200 or $1,400.
Well, that's the thing about those good parlays. It's $5-10.
And they can pay you.
I hit one. I hit one that I put 50 down on. It was nice.
Oh, so then that pays off. Nice.
It was nice.
Oh,
man.
brother,
So,
I got one of my buddies. He put down $100 on one of the Rangers games in the playoffs. It was that Rangers game before the World Series. It was in the ALCS where the 2 pitchers both had over 8 strikeouts. And he put $100 on that, and he won $48,000. What was it, like $48,000 or something like that? He won on it.
Wow, man!
It was that one that a lot of people hit on X who were into the parlay community because that one big parlayer played it and put it out. Everyone loaded up on it, and a lot of people hit it. Yeah, it was like it was that Rangers game. I remember that. It was crazy, stupid money. And then FanDuel nuked the pitching after that. It was crazy, but yeah. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate all y'all for tuning in. I'm going to be back tomorrow night. Look for me around 5 o'clock. Might be a little bit earlier, but around 5 o'clock. We're going to preview this Monday night game. I'm either going to run the giveaway for the Tua shirt and the Waddle shirt tomorrow or on its own stream. I might run a late night stream this weekend. I don't know yet, but that's coming soon. So remember, go to episode 901. Tell me who your midseason MVP is using the hashtag MVP, and you'll be entered to win a Tua Miami Vibes shirt or a Waddle Miami Vibes shirt. So listen, smash that like button on the way out. Well over 400 of you in the room for this episode today. I appreciate all of you for coming through. It's a beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan, and I will see all of y'all tomorrow. Fins up. Have a fantastic Thursday evening and enjoy Thursday night football, everyone.